Thanks, Runga. I Jack. Hard luck there tonight. That weather was really terrible. That wind was something else. But did you think, maybe perhaps in the first half, you guys carried well, ball in hand, but maybe there could have been a few more kicks because they seem to get that right in the second half to pin you in your 22, but you guys didn't quite have the same outcome.
I feel like I'm not sure about kicks, but I think again it was just about taking chances when we were down there. I think what they did very well in the beginning is they kept us out for long periods of time, and we didn't finish as many opportunities as they got in the second half. And as I said to the players, very simple. Saracens a good team. They know this ground like the back of their hands. Ball bounces a bit high on this 4G pitch. Everyone talks about the right-hand corner where the gate is. Everyone knows that's where you've got to head to. And I just think we weren't clever enough in the first half to put points on the board and build pressure. So once it was 8-5, it was going to be uphill battle from then on in. And the summary was very simple. First half, they got into our half many more times. In fact, into our 22 many more times than we got into their 22. And that's exactly the difference, is you can't allow a team like Saracens to have so much time in your 22 and expect to win.
So one of the real positives was the scrum, though. You eventually got some penalties second half, but maybe you could have had a bit more reward in the first half, especially.
Well, I think one of the things that happened, which I'm not saying is a turning point, but was a massive call, was we were killing them in the scrums, and then our ball, gave them a free kick, and it's almost like another entry into our 22. And from that building pressure, they ended up scored a try. So, yeah, I was very happy with the scrum. I was very happy with the way Jeff Van Heerden called the line out. As a young guy coming through the ranks to call a line out against Mario Toji and do the job he did tonight is also obviously very pleasing. So, it's never nice to lose, Ashfaq. It's never nice to be outplayed. They bashed us at the breakdown. They were physical. They were clinical when they had the ball. They understood how to manage themselves around the field. But I got a sneaky suspicion we might have to play them again sometime in this competition. And as long as we take the lessons we've learned in this game hopefully into the next one.
Just finally, Jake, do you feel that perhaps the weather was a bit overwhelming for the guys, and it's almost like a game that you now sort of have to write off? It was away loss, but you can always catch up now at Loftus.
Ashfaq, I wish I could tell you it was overwhelming. It was just unbelievable. It's 50-kilometer-an-hour winds. I don't think anyone I don't even think some of those Saracens players ever played in conditions like that. So, it's not a case of, I don't think we lost the toss. It was a bit like cricket. We didn't really want to bat last on a wicket that's going to turn. It's like a golfer that has to play 2 days in the wind and then try to make the cut when other guys play 2 days with no wind. So it was one of those. And I'm not for 1 minute taking anything away from Saracens' performance. As I said, they bashed us at the breakdown. They were clinical. They look like a team that knows how to win this competition because they have. And as I said, the lessons are we've got to make sure that next time we play them or any team that's as good as them, we've got to be good enough.
Coach, I'm just looking in terms of character development and this sort of game, playing in these conditions. You speak about a guy like Jeff Van Heerden. I remember last year, the likes of Rowan, played against Maros and even back-to-back weeks. But then in terms of character development of the players, suffering the pressure they absorbed, how will it sort of help them going forward in the development of them personally and also as a collective?
Well, it's got to help, actually. If you 15 internationals from Saracens playing in conditions like that, playing in a ground like this, playing a club that knows how to win. You got to learn. There's no other thing you can get out of these performances. And I said before to a lot of the journos that interviewed me, Saracens have the ability in these competitions and in these games when they need to go up another gear, they find it. So I wasn't surprised. Obviously, I would have liked to have got a better start. I would like to have been able to put scoreboard pressure on them in the first half, but it wasn't the case. And I almost got the feeling at 8-5, they almost thought that or sensed that that we were going to be under the pump in the second half, which is obviously the way they understand the conditions on the field.
Coach, just lastly from my side, looking forward right now, these two games at home, how important will they be? And again, just maybe again, that one win away from home just to put yourself in a good standing, looking ahead to the knockout stages.
Well, I'm sort of repeat myself to the players, but that everyone plays in a competition to be there at the back end, and we've got 3 games left. We've got Northampton, we've got Cust, and we've got Stade Francais. We win those 3 games, chances are very likely that we'll be in the playoffs or in the top 16 at least. And then you've got a lotto ticket, and you've got a chance to actually go to the next step. And that's, everyone wants to take the high road. They obviously all want to get home games, and they all want to make sure they're unbeaten, but that's not really the norm in this competition. So there's a lot still to play for. Third on the URC table, not dead in the Investec Champions Cup, and there's a lot of rugby between now and the end of the season. So it's not a case of doom and gloom. It's a case of taking these learnings and make sure we get better.
Hi, Jake. Just going back on that point about character, one guy that showed a lot of character today was Cameron Anakom. I think he beat like 10 defenders out there. Just a word on his performance, please.
Yeah, I'm very happy. I mean, I'm happy with the way Akka van der Merwe came on, happy with Jeff van Heerden, happy with Kane and Moody today, but collectively we were outplayed. And that's, I think, what players understand. It doesn't matter whether you've had an okay game or you've played all right. Players want to win, and anyone who's involved in rugby will understand. Change room is a little bit different when you don't get the result. So yeah, I'm happy, but it's not a case of individual performances. It's collectively we weren't as street smart as we should have been, and for a lot of reasons. One is, as I said, against a good team in conditions that I've never experienced in 42 years of coaching. And I'm sure some of these players from England haven't played in conditions like that either. So we were probably, as I said, a little bit naive, and through no one's fault. And we use an example. We get a mark in our 22. We forget to tap it, give the ball, give them another scrum in our 22. That's just, it's no one's fault. It just shows you how pressure and how when you're under the pump that you can make those sort of mistakes.
A tough loss to take, but yeah, like you said, there were a couple of positives, especially Akker and Cammy. Do you feel you guys left a couple of points on the board in the first half?
Yeah, that's JJ. I mean, I suppose that's exactly it. When we had to play with the win in the first half. I mean, the interesting thing was, as Jamie George won the toss, he said, "Right, we'll play towards the corner in the second half." I mean, it was almost like, it's almost like I knew that was we were hoping we would win the toss and play exactly the same way they did. And once we scored nice and early, but once we never built pressure by getting more and more points, we were up against it. So much so that, I mean, and Saracens were clever. Instead of taking the 3 points there after they missed the first one, they tapped and ran and almost spent a lot more time in our half, as opposed to chipping it over and going all the back into their half.
And another positive for you was probably at scrum time. You had them under the pump almost the whole game.
Yeah, no, a very good scrumming set, very good. I mean, it's not a weak scrum. So to get a return like that, especially next week we get Wilco Low back, that can only do our confidence good, that we know that we have a lot more depth in our scrumming.
The breakdown you said Saracens hammered you there. Is that something you weren't prepared for, or anything about the refereeing?
No, we don't talk about referees, guys. I've been long enough in this job to know. I mean, it is the way it was. First half there was a lot of slow ball against us. You saw that, and there was probably not as much sanction as there was in the slow ball in the second half, and that's just the way it is. But my message to the players is quite simply: you're going to have to learn how to adapt. And on 4G pitches, generally you want to get quick ball, and once we got slow ball, and the one thing Saracens have been leaders in for a long time is defence. And so it became tougher and tougher, and the more the ball became slower and slower, the wall just became harder and harder to break down. So it is obviously something that we're going to have to look at, because those good sides won't give you quick ball and won't allow you to run onto the ball. So it's not a case of anyone to blame. It's something we're going to have to learn.